Hi guys, my name is IXL's Runnermark and today we'll be going through another video for the Enter the Terran Mind. Today we're going to be focusing on TVZ using the 15th gas variable build, much like Innovation's 15 gas reactor racks into fast Hellions, but you know, we're going to add a little bit of a twist, and this is just to kind of deal with the metagame that seems to be coming out these days from our Zerg opponents. So we're going to kick into it right now. Beautiful. And watch me play. Alrighty then. Alright, so yeah, the purpose of these videos is to generally highlight my own gameplay. Not for bragging purposes, but to try and help younger mind Terrans or younger Terrans that are struggling in these kind of matchups using these specific builds and maybe why they are losing with these builds. And allow you guys to learn from me as I'm learning the game myself. But, you know, can kind of take some shortcuts instead of going out and asking people, maybe watch a video, or you know, you get the general experience and you get to look at it from my view, so you can be making questions in your own head and going through things in your own head, and maybe I might highlight them or explain things to you that make sense. But we're going to be focusing on a 15 gas build, so this is going to be 10 supply depot, 12 racks, 15 gas, expansion, factory, and then go from there basically. That's going to be your opening setup in this game. Of course it is going to be TVZ, and we're going to touch base on a few points, especially on this map in particular, which I find a lot of Terrans will probably be having trouble with TVZ versus things like roach busts and things like that. And well, one thing to really highlight on this map is a huge ass, wide ass ramp you've got just going down here. And additionally, usually you want to place your bunker about there, and then, you know, depot, but we can't do that all the time, can we? So, to be safer, and to highlight something that, you know, it's not something that you're going to come across, but you need to learn to do it, kill these destructible rocks, place a bunker here. Doing this allows you to be a lot more safer versus earlier speedlings, and roach plays are a lot harder to kind of deal with, but having less surface area around this bunker allows you to get your SCVs to create some kind of choke, aided with this Vespene geyser right here. And, well, you just have to trade SCVs for, like, super fast roaches. You just have to trade SCVs. If you can micro them, that's fine, but your priority is keeping that bunker alive to deal with the threat. Alright, I got my gas geyser at 15, so you rally your 14th worker. Boom. Send out a scout at around 14 to 15. On 4-player maps, try and send your scout out at 14 in TVZ. Unless you're going for Reaper openings, obviously that kind of scouts for itself. But we're talking more about a 15th gas build here. So in this variation, we want to scout at 14 to 15. I scout at 15 because it's a 2-player map and I know exactly where to go. Get inside of his base, you know, we're going to see things like gas geysers and stuff like that. If we go to my view, I'm kind of just still focusing on making sure my CC goes down first, and I'm destroying those destructible rocks. I've queued up my SCV to kind of just run around his base for the meantime. He'll either die or you'll get scouting information now. Here's where it gets a little bit tricky. I get him in here and pause. You can see that I've highlighted his gas geyser. Make sure you count how much gas he has. Optionally, you can get an SCV and just kind of patrol here for until at least like the 4-minute 15 mark, when Zerglings usually get on the field. You can see Zerglings are building right now. He's still got 10 more seconds on these until they're done. So it gives me about 10 more seconds to stay around his base. But optionally, you know, he's going to have queens coming up and all that kind of fun stuff. But clicking on the gas is most important. I couldn't really get a good read this game just because he went for a faster gas. He went for a faster gas, but because my SCV had such low hit points, I couldn't really stick around, and usually queens and things like that will snipe your SCV, so it's best to kind of just get as much information as possible and then just run, and then maybe drop it down to scan or things like that. But we'll talk about my thought process after this. Anyways, spamming through the cycle keys, getting that muscle memory and shit happening like that. Factory. Want to start producing some Hellions. Hellions is going to be where I'm going to open up initially. I want 2 Hellions. I want these purely because I want something fast and that's nimble, can get me across the map, and can give me enough scouting information to follow up with what I want to do. And that's Widow Mine drops. And this is purely a reactionary response to the large amount of roach plays that I see coming out of my Zerg opponents these days on ladder. I don't know whether it's a metagame thing or just a kind of a shift in the general direction of where Zergs want to go because of mine openings. But if I'm being aggressive with mines, then he's forced to stay in his own base. Versus the utility of having Hellions on the map, which is really good versus Zerglings, but if your opponent pushes out with roaches, you feel kind of stuffed and helpless. Anyways, doing the old switcheroo, units are finished, start cycling out this bunker here. I'm starting to add a little bit more of a wall to it to cut off more surface area, so that way if speedlings were to be his choice of attack, it'd be a lot harder for him to kill this bunker. Is like you'd get 2 or 3 lings here, and if I got a bit of an SCV pool, I could probably pull my SCVs in here and get a repair going so this bunker would hold, and he'd effectively waste like 20, 30 speedlings for nothing. Upgrade. Then he would be behind on drones, he would be behind on economy, and my initial Hellions would have a little bit more dominance over the field unless he was to commit even more Zerglings. Complete. Anyways, here we go, getting stim, more marines. We're starting to add down mines now because I wanted to do mine drops originally. Getting my second gas geyser, as I realised I want to afford medivacs and mines. That gas geyser should have been down a little bit earlier. Just want to go back really quickly and highlight something. Should be about it. Alright, we'll talk back from here anyway. Yeah, we want gas geysers. Usually you should finish, you start your refinery, your second refinery, sorry, when your factory either finishes or midway between. Anyways, these Hellions are on the field. They're going to tell me what's going on his side of the map. Additionally, I get up here. We're in his base now. Pause. What do we see here? I see a bunch of speedlings, not too many. I see a queen and a spine. But what you should note, at least around the 7-minute mark, is the dedication to creep spread should be at least out of the natural if he's committed to 4 queens or more. We're generally talking like a 3-queen build, a 4-queen build, or a 5-queen build. You'll notice there'll be more queens situated around the natural. He might even have an evolution wall off. But the creep spread itself will be actually larger. In this game, he's got 3 queens. Obviously, they're kind of perusing around his base and not doing too much at all. Or he's connecting tumors from his main to his natural. So that's where his first creep tumor would have been. So his creep spread's really stagnated. This tells me one of 2 things. He's either going to commit to an attack, or he's just gotten speed to be defensive, and he's going to start now capitalizing on queens. But it means he's going to delay his third, and potentially... not too sure. So I'm going to play this a bit safer this game. I had down the 2 additional racks at my engineering bay. I'm not going to go for that fast 3rd CC, as I don't... On this map in particular, I don't feel it's safe enough to do it just because of the rush distance between it and the size of the ramp you have to defend. So I would suggest going for the 3 racks follow-up. I've got my mines out now. I'm going to place them down to be more defensive in case he does some kind of run by. Keep producing units at this point. You're basically just macroing and waiting for a general response. It's obviously a good idea not to commit with your Hellions. You want to poke, scout, and then leave. Unless you're committing to Hellions, you can be a lot more aggressive at like containing creep and things like that. The follow-up we're doing in this game is we're going for mine drops. Alright, start adding on my add-ons to my buildings and things like that, start getting my mines. We're getting ready for our initial drop. Gonna start pushing out across the map using the Medivac boost and all that kind of fun stuff. Complete your wall off. This is going to allow you to be a little bit more stronger so you can still keep that original bunker you had. And I'm glad I made that decision because of how the Zerg decides to follow up. Because my infrastructure's now there, I can take my 3rd CC because I'm feeling relatively safe in this situation. Obviously we want to continue producing marines, mines as the composition we're going for. Mid to late game is going to be bio-mine. But now we're being aggressive. We want to drop these mines and we want to do damage. In this instance, you need to start paying more attention to your mini-map. Like, obviously focus on the medivac like I'm doing here, but your eyes should always be glancing down to your mini-map. Because this is the time frame that he can be a lot more aggressive if he's doing this kind of 2-base attack. Especially considering how we get in here, I've just paused it. I can see a roach warren, an evolution chamber, a baling nest, a lair, and 1 queen. He's got double gases. So what's running through my head right now is, oh my god, he could be doing a Ling Bang Roach all in. this could seriously hurt me right now. I'm not ready for this. Borrow the mines, start to do some damage. 2 to each mineral line. I even see a bunch of roaches. And I'm not prepared for this at all just yet. But it's fantastic that I've seen all that. Now I can start getting prepared. Start producing more mines. Add down additional bunkers, sorry. You want to go up to at least 4 to 5. And spread your mines out in such a fashion that if he commits with banelings and they rock up on your doorstep and they start blowing everything up, that when they're detonating on buildings as such, your mines aren't getting caught in that kind of splash damage and detonating themselves. So we're getting a bunch of bunkers here. This is really good. Obviously the mines are keeping him preoccupied at his base, so this is giving you time, or giving us time. You can see here I'm splitting up my mines, putting units in these bunkers, etc, etc. Keep producing units. My third CC is up, so unless he does a serious amount of damage and forces his way into my natural, I should be okay. Like, in this situation, be prepared to lose units. I actually get a little overzealous here, and I'm like, okay, if he's going to put on pressure to me, I want to put pressure onto him, but this isn't necessarily the right choice. I could have held my ramp a lot easier, but we'll find out in a minute here. As he's now pushing up on my ramp. It's like, oh no, here we go. See, he starts baiting out mines and things like that, so I'm going to slow this down just a little bit. Pull SCVs to try and buffer a little bit. You know, you want to keep your bunkers and stuff like that alive. There are your priorities there, where it's going to be soaking up damage and dealing out the DPS. I pull back my dropships, realizing my fault. So, just a general tip, if you see this kind of aggression happening, just be passive until it happens, or scan and see whether or not he's taking a third. If he's taking a third and doesn't commit to an attack, just follow through with your general macro plan. Anyways, he's doing a significant amount of damage here. He's killed 15 of my workers. Yeah, here the mines are doing a nice job. He's cleaning them up pretty well. I'm still holding on. I've got these bunkers here in a really nice position. My units drop. He streams in some more roaches, so he's actually committed a lot to this attack. And if Zerg is doing this attack, generally they're going to be on 2 bases. Optionally, he'd probably like to have lings and banelings with it, but because I did early damage that I did with this, or with my opening with the Widow Mines, he can't follow this through up anywhere near as much. This is actually really loud. Turn that down a lot. I don't know why that just randomly went up by itself. But yeah. Yeah, he did a nice job, but we're ahead in this situation, so don't feel like you need to play super passive. Obviously in this situation it's about, okay, recover from what just happened. Rebuild your wall in case of further all-ins, but at the same time you can still be aggressive. You've got medivacs. He obviously won't have mutalisks at this stage. If he's just committed to a 2-base attack, his mutalisk going to be well and truly delayed. Like, I'm talking like between this 13 and 15 minute mark. He's going to have this huge dead space where he's not going to have news. That's if he's committed on 2-base. This is after a roach follow-up. So now I'm playing aggressively. Chasing him down. He's obviously got more units now to defend, so this tells me he obviously has either delayed his third even more, or he's going to try and assume to do another all-in, which at this stage I'm just going to be able to power through it. He donated some drones because lovely Zerg, he was a brewski, he knew what I wanted. And yeah, so this is just the general baiting over the mines. I do a nice cute little lift up because his lings get on top of my army, so I didn't bait the lings onto the mines or over the mines. I kind of let him just get on top of me, and my mines were going to hurt me more than hurt him. My medivacs get there, they scout no third, okay. He's still committed on 2-base. What can happen off of 2-base? He can do a Nidus play, so you can either start being more reactionary by looking at your minimap, or he's going to go for 2-base muters. But I'm producing a lot of Marines right now. So if he goes for 2-base muters, in this situation, he's going to have an even further delayed third. I've got a lot of Marines, so I can force a direct engagement. Like, if he goes for a counterattack and starts harassing your mineral line, just go trade with him. His muters will have to come back. He might clean out your mineral line, you might have to run. You've still got bunkers there, optionally, like unless they all got destroyed. But you can either place down turrets and then just go for a direct engagement, because you'll have a huge amount of Marines that he won't be able to deal with it with his ground forces at this stage. Optionally, his biggest option will probably be to try and tackle your third, and you can just lift off and run that, or just kill the muters with your rallying units coming out of your barracks, because he's only going to have like 6 to 7, maybe 8. Anyways, continue on the aggression, keep going for my upgrades, keep doing macro. This is a really bad spot for me, like I'm glad I noticed it through the meme. I lifted, I lost a fair amount of units, and it's like, oh wow, he's still pushing on me. This is really silly for him, because he really doesn't have that much at all. Like, that's a tiny army compared to what I have. So just land, kill it, save whatever SCVs you can. At this point, it doesn't matter, you're going to be ahead. You've got mules. Zerg are going to whinge about it one way or another.
Mineral field depleted.
Big coughs from me. Deal with the crappy little threat that he's like throwing at me, so I'm like, oh well, you know, he's throwing more units at me. He must be super desperate right now to try and do some damage to stay in the game. Redo your hotkeys, go back out for another attack. Get more, I'm getting more of my reinforcing units because my macro is doing pretty well, even though I got hugely supply blocked earlier. And yeah, just kind of power through and scan ahead. And we're going to have to start setting up our mine traps and splitting up our army so that way if he hits me with fungals or banelings, something like that, they're just not going to work out very well for him. I'm scanning ahead, I'm cleaning out as many creep tumors as I can possible. And I'm going to touch base on the way or the style I've learned to do with biomine. This is basically like, okay, I scanned, his army's here, my army's over here, I've cleaned out as many creep tumors as I know of so he doesn't have vision here. Pre-split your army before you go into an engagement like this. Like, all these units now, well, they're not on hold position, but they should be.
Mineral field depleted.
But the idea I have is you pre-split, move your mines, move sections of your army, and keep the rest of them in hold position until, like, there's an engagement and you need to kite back certain parts of your army. So you're trying to create some kind of concave, in essence, but you just want split units to minimize AoE damage from banelings and fungals and stuff like that. So I scan ahead again, sends out another Zergling. It doesn't activate the mine in time, which is really interesting. It doesn't really kind of get there. Split my units up. I'm trying to do this as fast as possible, and then hold position. And then I'm just selecting small groups to get in there and bait out units. He uses a fungal, he commits semi to an attack. He's losing units right now. His banelings are detonating on marauders and marines are almost singular. So this is a fantastic position to me, because if he engages into this, he's just going to lose. So I'm going to continue to push my advantage. He gets this little fungal off here, but I got heaps of medivacs there. I got better upgrades than him. So that's another thing to take into consideration when doing this kind of build and following up after some kind of Ling Bane aggression like that, or Roach aggression, is he stifles his upgrades. Like, his upgrades are minuscule compared to yours if you're on point. Like, if you are missing upgrades, that's a macro fault you need to work on. But in general, if they're committing to a 2-base attack, their upgrades are going to be incredibly behind on yours, because even if they're successful in their attack, their priority becomes droning their third and going up a tech tree. Not staying on that tech unless they want to go for something like Roach Hydra. But even then, the priority is still to go for the 3rd base. And I knew he wasn't doing that because he was still throwing units at me to try and do damage to me to then take a 3rd base. But he's done some kind of wonky ass style where he's gone up a tech tree, so he's on Infestor tech, but he's gone for Infestor's Ling Bane to kind of hold off my aggression, which I think is the way to do it, especially versus Biomine. But just because my upgrades are better than his and he doesn't have the I suppose the infrastructure and the economy to keep up with me, this is why he's going to lose. Anyway, go back to playing. He gets here, the mines do a fantastic amount of damage. I'm still splitting, and I just generally clean this up super effectively. And now I just push in again. He gets another nice fungal, but that's unavoidable. But I have so many medivacs right now, it doesn't matter. These units are quite close to being, like, healed personally by their own medivac. Scan, clean out some more tumors whenever possible. Continuing to macro behind this, so we want to have a follow-up wave that's just going to outright crush him. But at the moment, I'm just pulling units at home, like microing this out, because I just want to kill as many of these freelancing units that are like kind of streaming out of his hatchery. Kill a queen. I get here, look, this 3rd, perfect demonstration of just how far behind he is. He's got like 4 drones here. And that's because he's committed so much to putting aggression onto me. He's got no upgrades, his 3rd's behind, my 3rd's down, I've got a 4th CC. I'm mining. My infrastructure could be better because I'm basically don't have enough racks to get rid of my income, as it is like, you know, 1.6k. And reaching the very critical end of this game where I'm just going to continue kiting out things like unupgraded links versus my 2-2 Marines, and he just can't trade efficiently versus me anymore. He's tried to do damage, it didn't happen because we scouted and prepared for it, and we then threw on the aggression back onto him and forced out more units when he wanted to drone. Big rally of units. Send over there, I can go take my 4th now. I'm feeling very, very secure as I'm killing his 3rd. He's still trickling units here and there. Killing them without so much as a hassle. Gonna deny his 4th. I've still got a lot of medivacs. Now, what can go wrong in this situation? I'm effectively double his supply, we can even see in the top right hand corner. So yeah, that is a variation of a 15 gas build in TVZ and how to react versus a Roach All in. I hope you guys enjoyed the series. Feel free to follow me on Twitter and even send me in some inboxes or messages or like that. I'm happy to talk to anyone. I do coaching. My personal email will be in the description bar below, so you can feel free to email that if you have any questions. Additionally, if there are build orders you are struggling with and you want kind of a helping hand, yeah, feel free to post them in the comments or send me a Twitter or an inbox or something like that, and I'll try and create a video content for you specifically. Thank you guys for watching. I'm IXL's Runamok, and see you guys, and hopefully you guys